You're not from around here, are you?
Lucky guess.
How about I give you a little tour?
I'm like, ew. I'll be leaving now. Thanks.
Why don't you stick around a while, huh? It's immune!
Well, my name is Joshua Thomas. I am the co-founder of Cassanova Films, and yeah, so I'm a filmmaker. I write, produce, direct, um, actually hold the camera, edit, promote. I do every step of the process.
How did you, it could be anything. I mean, any kind of passion, like obviously filmmaking, what, because obviously also, it seems like you're also a fan of, obviously, clearly comic book lore and comic books. How did you get into both of those passions? Like, do you remember the first time you kind of were introduced and how you got hooked into those mediums?
Yeah, well, with comic books, it's hard to say exactly when, but when I was about 5 years old, which would have been 1989, and I'm not sure if that's exactly when, but I moved from Colorado to California, and I met my uncle. He's only about 7 years older than me, but he's been drawing basically since he was born, and knew that he wanted to be a professional artist. And so when I met him, and then just seeing like how cool he can make everything, he was drawing like Garfield and stuff like that, because he was just a kid really. But he published his first comic book at I think 15.
Wow.
Yeah, so I always aspired to be like him, to draw comic books. And his name actually is Ollie Garza. I don't know if you're familiar with like Ninja Boy. Yeah, this was actually published from Wildstorm, so that was like I don't know, probably 20 years ago now.
Oh,
But
wow.
that's um, one of my favorite projects of his, at least an original project. But he's drawn everything from Supergirl, Deadpool, Gen 13. He also did Eve Proto Mecha. Don't know if you've heard of that, but
Yeah, yeah.
really cool. So yeah, I think that's probably why I got into comic books and wanted to, is basically to be like him. And then, long story short, I found filmmaking as my preferred uh, creative expression.
Mm. And so tell us about, Casanova Films. Clearly you have kind of like a vision and a passion of where you want to take it. Tell us about kind of like your grand plan for that. And then also,
So right now, like as you know, we do the Jubilee project, the X-Men fan film, and that was just a passion project that we were just doing between gigs. And originally, it was just going to be a one-off type of thing, but we just got a lot of love and found a lot of joy in creating it. And because it wasn't that serious. It's obviously not our own IP, so we can't really
yeah,
go wrong. So right now we're launching the Kickstarter for X-Men Sinister Saga, which is the follow-up to the Jubilee thing. And this is kind of us showing you like a more serious version of that, but it takes place after the events of that. But now we're trying to like do it on a bigger scale with a bigger story.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I must have fainted.
And then after that, of course, we do have our own IPs and films that we're working on as well. One called The Soldier and the Samurai. You can see my samurai here.
Yeah, that's beyond dope right there.
Yeah, so that's actually the armor that is in that film and was custom made for that. So really excited about that. That's going to come after the Sinister Saga.
As a creator and someone putting like something out that's, you know, original into the world, what was it like to kind of get that kind of feedback from people and kind of have that? Because I'm sure it's like you said, it was supposed to be a one-off, but that's always how it goes, right? The beauty of this stuff sometimes is you create something and then you're like, wait, whoa, this is crazy. Like everyone loves it and they want more of it. What was that like? Because that's got to be an amazing feeling to kind of have us be surprised.
Like I said, it was just really cool. It kind of happened in the process of pre-production where we started reaching out to actors to get involved with roles. Most of them we had relationships with already from other projects. And then they were like really interested or were like, I know somebody who also wants to be a part of this if there's any other role. And we kept getting a lot of that. And then when people found out we were doing a X-Men fan film, it was just coming out of the woodworks of people that unfortunately we had to turn away because again, it wasn't supposed to be that big. And it just, I mean, you know, I'm really grateful for as much as we were to cram into that 5 minutes, something that is, for one, super nostalgic, you know, for me, X-Men since before the 92 series, but especially, you know, the 92 series when I was a kid, that was like my jam. You know what I mean? Whenever you could watch it, like it was really exciting and it just super stuck with me. And I always knew like you know, if I could do one, I would start it with Jubilee because if you know, she's the first one basically introduced in that series, which
yeah.
So we're able to do things differently, you know, because we're fans. We're able to make it how we see it or how we remember it or how we would like to change things as well. You know, which you get some pushback on that too, but it's also fun because you know it's really cool to see how passionate people are about this stuff. And you already have a relation to the subject, you know, to the X-Men. We all have our own kind of nostalgic relationship with various parts of that. So
what would you say what is your creative process like?
sometimes, you know, I have a really strict idea of how I want something to go, but 9 times out of 10, everything changes in the process. So for instance, like the Jubilee one, it was literally, I was just like, I just kind of want to do something fun and short. We'll just shoot it in the alley. It'll be like this kind of confrontation that stresses her powers out of her and it'll be her origin. Like I said, it was just supposed to be really small. But then when I wrote it, so I wrote a rough of what I wanted to happen, and it wasn't the full thing for what was put out. But then I showed my wife, who is also our co-founder at Cassanova Films, and she's a producer and she's also my screenwriter. So usually I'll just write my, you know, really terrible style script and give it to her, and then she'll have to reformat it and make it actually look decent. So basically what happened is, so I wrote this rough idea, I gave it to her, and then she was like, this isn't as small as you're thinking, it's gonna cost a lot more, it's gonna, you know, involve a lot more people. And but then when she started getting involved and getting more interested in it, then the idea started developing more on how we can build up, you know, some more characters to this story, you know, and just in case we were able to expand on it. So we went from that to the actual script, and then started, you know, shooting that out to our talent that we had on board, and then kind of just keep adding to it. And then, you know, from there it's like, okay, you know, location scouting and prop sourcing or creating, wardrobe testing, all of those things out kind of before we even get there. And then on the day, you have your shot list, your script, and your timeline. But then, all of that kind of just it turns into a big whirlwind usually.
Mm.
And then new ideas always come on the day as well. Like for instance, the way that we have Wolverine attack the gunman in our film. That's not what was written
Oh,
in
nice.
the storyboard. Yeah, it's just that our stunt coordinator, who's the guy who plays Mr. Sinister,
Mhm.
that's kind of how he picked it. He's like, what if he stabbed him and picked him up? And so then we had to figure out, like, okay, how are we gonna do that? We don't have wires, or we weren't planning on anything like that. So then we had to figure that out. So we got some milk crates and stacked them up, and then we're just trying to get it as quick as we can. But in the final product, I'm like, that's really cool because I didn't picture that. But the real magic happens when you get home and start putting it together. That's probably where I excel the most, is making something of all of it.
Mm.
And again, the story kind of starts to change in that process. You saw the timing a different way, or you saw the shot going a different way, but something else seems to work. And yeah, and then sound design, which I also really enjoy, music, and then just all the little details. That's pretty much the usual process.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
That's a masterclass in the art of like true creation. Seriously. So to end it off, I'd love to get a little teaser of the Sinister Saga. I mean, what can fans expect? I saw some of the artwork already
Yeah.
on the page. Looks insane. And I think
Yeah,
that's another character. Yeah, it looks great. Another, fan favorite. Like you said, Jubilee, I feel like is one of the ones for people that love X-Men, definitely not done really well on screen. I think she was there for like a scene or two, and then those movies went.
So the Sinister Saga, the thing that we're most excited about, one, we've never seen Sinister on live action, and we've even since shooting the Jubilee project, we're able to refine him a little more and see like where we're really going. But I mean, the story I'm just so excited about. I think it's going to be the coolest thing that not only we've ever done, but I think it's going to be the coolest thing that people have ever seen in an X-Men film in general.
That's awesome. That's
So,
big words. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, you can quote me on that. I think it's going to be amazing, and people are going to enjoy it. And you're going to see a different version of a lot of characters than you're used to. And we have some favorites for sure, but then we're also bringing some more underdogs, some characters that are lesser known. Most people don't know at all even exist, probably. But even Morlocks, and just making these characters front and center, and we're really excited about that. And then keeping the stories, really consolidated too, because people seem to enjoy that. We're able to give a lot of shine to a character in these small arcs, and I think that it opens up a lot of opportunity to keep expanding on that universe. And the Sinister Saga itself we're planning a 3-part.
Oh wow.
Series. Yeah. And
We're going to shoot it all.
We're going to shoot it all just back to back, all at once. And I can't say this Thursday, 2 days from now, we're going to shoot a very special proof of concept that is actually going to be a part of that series. It'll probably be 2 to 3 minutes. And it's just really exciting, man. Like, I wish I could say more, about it.
I respect that. I totally respect that.
But when you see it, it's going to be so much cooler to just see it, and you'll see like kind of where it's going. But ultimately, Sinister's plan is to capture the most powerful mutants. He's of course he's a geneticist, so he's splicing and doing his thing and trying to create the super mutant army to basically take over the world. And there's just a small ragtag bunch of characters like Jubilee who gotta put a stop to that. We already know that Sinister is after Wolverine because he sends Morph out to find these mutants for Sinister to be able to work on, and we're going to explore a much darker side of the X-Men universe. I think like it'll probably feel more like a thriller.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with a lot of comedic relief, because one thing that I really enjoy about the X-Men comic books and cartoons, especially in the 90s, was how quirky it is.
Yeah.
Like everything is a one-liner, and it just goes 0 to 100 real quick.
So yeah,
and his backstory is crazy too. It's like they really could have done an entire series or film just his backstory, because it's got a lot to work with.
Yeah, that would be one I'd love to see expounded on.
Yeah, and well, that's kind of what we're trying to do, is just bring it back. One thing I didn't do in the Jubilee one was establish that that's 1992. So our universe does take place in the early 90s.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so some people might not get that with the design. Hopefully you do, because we really want it to look like that. And I think moving forward, I might even, dirty it up a little bit just to kind of give it that feel, more of a little more of a VHS type of feel. Because it's a lot of fun. And yeah, everything then, it just felt different. It was exciting. It felt like an adventure when you were watching it or reading it. And that's what we really want to do, is just make people excited. Like that's all it is. It's fun. It's not that serious, but we do have a lot of passion and love for it, of course. And everybody involved does, which has been really important too, is finding people who are, kind of like Marvel does. Like, we need you to sign on for a free movie deal at least. But
awesome.
we're obviously doing it on a very small scale, but we're hoping that with this Kickstarter, we're able to give it our best, because I think it's something that fans super deserve. From a fan, like I said, I just want to show something that has never been seen, and even on a small scale, I think it's worth it. So for us, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we put a lot of work into it, and it's just super worth it. I mean, we get a network with guys like yourself and the Nerd Initiative, which we really appreciate it.
Of course.